Why would we even want to attain a higher level of reality? Why would we want to go beyond this world? Why would we have such a desire for something so unclear, something beyond the five senses that just seems so intangible? There's a few reasons here. Ultimately, one is that we're in a part of a process of development of desires, where desire is constantly growing. It goes through periods of wanting food, sex, family in its early stages. Individual desires that we always had, for example, like cavemen. Early in history, they didn't have bigger desires than these, and that at a certain time in history, so we started wanting what the other had, desires for money and exchange. Simply a new desire emerges in us, and then one caveman suddenly started wanting what another caveman had. I suddenly noticed that Trevor over there is growing oranges all this time. I didn't notice that before then. Why didn't I notice? Because I didn't have a desire that opened me up to it. But then the desire develops, and suddenly we start noticing different things. And we go from these purely individual needs of supplying for our own selves, our families, our caves, to suddenly starting to notice that there's other things out there. So we start fencing each other off from each other, start dividing, saying this is my property, that's your property, these are my things, those are your things. Let's start exchanging. The desire for money appears. The more the desire grows, we go through desires for honor, control, knowledge, so the more this system of exchange develops, so then at a certain point, a person comes up and, says that he can control the system, he can do it, he can organize the system better than others. So you have like very select individuals coming up wanting to manage things and everything. So you got things like politics forming and governments and honor, people who take pride in their produce and want to make the best oranges and sell them at a higher price, and et cetera, et cetera. All these things start coming up. The period for knowledge comes up. We can see that, for example, in human evolution. Just look at what a burst of scientific and cultural progress that started happening around the 16th century, when this, again, a new desire emerges. And all of a sudden, we go from this long period of the Middle Ages where, development was, rather, you could say, rather still, not developing so rapidly, to the sudden boost of all kinds of technological progress, all kinds of progress in science, culture, arts, music, for a few centuries there. What's characteristic of our era is that the desire develops to its highest point, which is where a new threshold is crossed, and the desire for spirituality emerges, what the wisdom of Kabbalah calls a point in the heart, what both the book of Zohar and Baal HaSulam, the Kabbalist we read from earlier, they mentioned that from around the year 1995, from the beginning of this century, this desire would start emerging en masse on humanity at large. And people who felt this desire, the point in the heart, unlike all the other desires, they would feel not that they're drawn to something, to creating something new, to having some kind of clear vision for, someone with a desire for control suddenly feels that he's got an idea to organize things, better than others and to control things better. Someone with a desire for honor has an idea of what it means to be, respected in society in a certain way. You can picture the goal in all these corporeal desires up until the desire for spirituality. The desire for spirituality is fundamentally different in that it appears and it wants something that's outside of our current perception and sensation of reality. It wants ultimately what it wants is to reach the purpose of why we were created. And it brings up all these questions, these existential questions we have. What is the meaning of life? Who are we? Why are we here now? Where did we come from? Where are we headed? Why is there so much suffering in the world? It wants to get answers, like real, tangible, clear answers to these questions, which elude it. And so this new desire emerges, and it feels empty in relation to all these other desires. It's like this new, big, excessive desire that can't get fulfilled with all of these. Right? So that's where we come in and start saying that the wisdom of Kabbalah was meant for filling specifically this desire for spirituality, which would emerge in our era. And why do we put on a session like this where we compare it to a process of transformation like fitness? Because one major point here is that unlike many teachings that call themselves spiritual, this one is an empiric method which does involve, taking a person from point A to point B, and that there's change and transformation involved on the way. And a person has to go according to a certain method, a certain plan, and do all kinds of things. Not like major things that are out of the world, or, unordinary. Really what we're talking about is engaging in study, engaging in a supportive environment. Just like with fitness, it's not really too many things a person has to do. Ultimately, they have to take care of their diet, their nutrition, and their exercise, and then they're pretty much home and hosed. Like they can become healthy just through taking care of these things. But once we take care of it, so then we can shift into this new state, which is called attaining the higher reality.